So in the last video, I did my top 10 point guards. You guys know the drill. Today, I'm going to be doing the top 10 shooting guards in the NBA. And as a disclaimer, I didn't mention it in my last video, but if you are injured, as in your ability to play next season is severely compromised, i.e. Kyrie Irving, Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum, you will not be in these videos. Saw a lot of people in the comments of the last video saying, where's Tyrese Halliburton? And that's your explanation why. But let's go ahead and roll that intro so we can get this video started.
Hey. Nope.
Coming in to start us off at number 10, I got my guy Coby White on the Chicago Bulls. I might be being a homer with this pick, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big fan of Coby, not just because he's on my favorite team, but the improvement in his game over the last 3 to 4 seasons has been amazing. This is a guy that even though he was a top 10 pick, he was struggling to be our starting guard. Constant issues with his playmaking, erratic shot selection, poor defense. I mean, you truly name it, he was not good at anything despite his 3-point shooting that was still erratic at times. But now he has improved to officially being a 20-point per game scorer last year. The handle has gotten better. He's an efficient scorer at the rim, shooting 65% in the restricted area, and is one of the best off-ball shooters in the league. And Coby is able to rip off these stretches throughout the season that are insane. When he catches fire, he catches fire. He had a stretch in March and early April where he was like 20 games of averaging 28 points a game on 50, 40, 90 splits. But that's unfortunately the reason why I can't put him higher on the list, because he does have a lot of cold stretches. He's a very streaky shooter at times still. Also, the playmaking is definitely not there in comparison to guys higher on this list. And defensively, he doesn't have too much of an impact. Regardless though, I'm expecting bigger and better things next year, and hopefully he can climb up the rankings on this list. Coming in next at number 9, I got Boston's bald menace himself, Derek White. Now, Derek White as a talent, you could argue is not even better than some guys not on this list, but he still has an insane impact on that Boston Celtics team on both sides of the ball. And I think next year with Jason Tatum being out, his role is going to increase, and I expect his production to even increase in the box score. We all know the impact he has on the defensive side of the ball, being one of the best perimeter players in the league defensively, so there's really no need for me to go into detail there, but offensively, he truly does not get enough credit. As a passer, he's a very connective kind of guy, can make the extra pass, high IQ. You can actually run some sets for him while he has the ball in his hands. He's a very good 3-point shooter. I mean, this is a guy that this season averaged 38% from 3 on 9 attempts a game. And similar to what I said about Coby White in the last spot, he is such an insane player when he is on fire, because unlike Coby, he's clamping shit up defensively along with the offensive explosion. White just had a postseason where he averaged 19 points a game, 5 rebounds and 4 assists on 46% from the field, 39% from 3 on nearly 10 attempts a game, and 86% at the free throw line. Despite his offensive limitations, the impact is obvious. Next year, without Jason Tatum and Drew Holiday, I expect the offensive production to increase, not only as a playmaker, but also as a scorer. And he may even be better than some of the guys I have ranked ahead of him on this list, but because of his limitations obviously as a shot creator and someone that can generate offense at a high enough level that you can rely on and lean on, I can't put him any higher. Coming in at number 8, we have Miami Heat's newest all-star, Tyler Herro. Herro was kind of tough for me to rank on this list. I think he varies from like the 7 to 10 spot, but I think 8 is just fine for him because he showed a lot of improvement this past season, especially as a primary ball handler and just his overall feel for the game in general. Herro out of the pick and roll is one of the better players in the league, and on top of that, he's very useful off the ball, being one of the better shooters in the NBA also. This past year was one of his most efficient years in the league. He shot 65% at the rim, 44% in the mid-range, and 38% from 3. He's literally just the definition of an efficient volume scorer. The problem with Herro though is that off the dribble, he doesn't create separation on real defenses or really any defense that you can get up underneath him, and that's shown essentially every single playoffs. And even though he's a solid playmaker, or should I say well improved playmaker, he cannot be your #1 decision maker as we saw this past postseason. If he ain't got a screen, he ain't going nowhere. It's just that simple. And then defensively, he is just terrible. like no bueno. But like I said about Derek White, like I said about Coby White, I could see him climbing higher on this list. The man has improved every single year of his career essentially. Coming in next at 7, we got the newest guard in Orlando, Desmond Bane. Now I'm not gonna lie, initially I was not really sold on the Desmond Bane trade to Orlando, but after really thinking about it, I love it, truly. I mean, sure, they did probably give up a little more than his actual value, but at the end of the day, this is a legitimate 20-point per game scorer, one of the best shooters in the league, especially off the catch, one of the best off-ball players period in the NBA. And in addition to his off-ball shooting that they desperately need, he also adds a dimension with his on-ball playmaking as well. He is improved. He's not just some stationary shooter. Bane can put the ball on the floor, create his own shot, and make plays for others. And he's not just doing that shit because he's sharing the court with Ja Morant and benefiting off of his rim pressure. As we saw this year, without Ja Morant, Desmond Bane was averaging 21 points a game, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and shot 48% from the field and 39% from 3 on nearly 7 attempts a game. I honestly debated putting him higher on this list, but I just don't see him getting that much better, which isn't a bad thing because he's already a really good player. But playing next to Paolo and Franz, I do expect his numbers to take a bit of a dip, and defensively he's not going to have that much of an impact to be higher on this list, in my personal opinion. But I could be wrong. But moving on to our next player, we got Austin Reeves at number 6. Now Reeves and Bane, I went back and forth on who I want to put ahead of the other, but I went with Reeves just because, unlike Desmond Bane, Reeves I do think is on a higher trajectory, and playing next to Luka and LeBron, he has shown the ability to still get his at a very high level. And every year of his career, he has taken a dramatic uptick in production. I don't think people realize how good of a stretch he had to close out the year from February till the end of the season, because he averaged 23 points a game, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, a steal and a half on 48% from the field, 39% from 3 on 8 attempts, and 91% at the free throw line. The playmaking and ball handling is getting better every single year. He's a good 3-point shooter and off-ball player. He can get to the free throw line and knock them down at a high clip, and he's proven that he can do it when Luka and LeBron are not playing on the court with him. And there are hella games where you can find in the clutch, Luka and LeBron have even deferred to Austin Reeves at times. If you go back to that Chicago Bulls game where Josh Giddey hit that game winner, the whole reason we were even down in that moment is because the play before, Austin Reeves got the ball and scored what seemed to be the game-winning layup. And it wasn't something that LeBron and Luka created for him, he created that for himself. As you guys can tell, I'm expecting some big things from Austin Reeves this year. Now, why I can't put him any higher than number 7 on this list is because defensively he doesn't have too much of an impact. And even though he's improved offensively, there are still some flaws with his self-creation ability. Though his handle has improved, it's nowhere near the level to compensate for the fact that he's not a great athlete. He can get bullied and struggle on the perimeter. And I think you're gonna see a theme with literally every single guy above him. They don't really have an issue with physicality. Which brings us to the beginning of the top 5, and to start things off, I got Zack Lavine. Now I know a lot of people have given up on Zack Lavine. He's in Sacramento now playing loser basketball. But let's not sleep on who Zack Lavine is and what he still provides to the game as one of the best off-ball players in the league. He is a great cutter. He's a great catch and shoot player. On top of that, he's a good on-ball player, can create his own shot on the perimeter, can get to the rim, one of the most athletic players in the league still despite all the injuries, and is one of the most efficient volume scorers in the league. The man shot 51% from the field this year, 45% from 3 on 7 attempts, and 83% at the free throw line, while giving you over 23 points per game. And if you think it was just a Sacramento thing where he's benefiting off of that offense, you would be wrong, because he was doing that shit in Chicago also. And mind you, even in Sacramento, he's not in the most favorable situation, as he has to play with that bum DeMar DeRozan. But he is far from the perfect player. He's definitely taken strides, but he's not that great of a playmaker, nor a rebounder, and defensively he be lacking, I can't cap. But the reason I have him at 5th above the guys below him is because he is such a good scorer on and especially off the ball, and I don't think the guys below him make up for the scoring gap in a way that I can comfortably put them ahead of him. But moving on, next I have at number 4 Thompson. Now, I know a lot of people are probably wondering what the hell is Amen doing on the shooting guards list. Well, let me explain why. For one, when I look at the Rockets team now, I do think Amen is going to be playing the shooting guard. They got Fred VanVleet at the 1, KD's there, Dorian Finney-Smith, Jabari, and Sengun. I would think Jabari or DFS is at the power 4, Sengun's at the 5, KD's at the 3, and then you could throw Amen at the shooting guard. Amen is arguably the best athlete in the league today. The speed, the strength, the body control, the lateral quickness, all at elite levels. He can get to the rim on anybody. He's a crafty finisher, a good passer that can find the open man in almost any situation. On top of that, this man is a go-getter on the boards, averaging 8 rebounds a game this year. But what really puts it over the top for me when it comes to Amen's game is the defense. You could argue he is the best wing defender in the league. And with this height and size, he's so versatile. He can guard your best guards, your best wings, and even switch on a big from time to time. I'm expecting true big things from Amen next year, because with that bum Jalen Green gone and KD to replace him, they actually have a legitimate half-court player that has real gravity to his game, can space the floor at an efficient level, and pairing that with probably the best athlete in the game that can get to the rim on almost anybody in Amen, that shit is gonna be deadly. But I can't put him any higher than 4 because of the obvious. That nigga can't shoot for shit. And it ain't even just the 3-point shooting, he's also a bad free throw shooter as well. So for now, the 4th spot will do. Coming in to start off our top 3, I have Devin Booker. Now, D-Book had a really rough year. Not statistically speaking, obviously, but I'm talking about the Suns as a whole. Missing the play-in is definitely not something to be happy about. But as an individual player, D-Book is one of the best we got in this league. Because despite his limitations as an athlete, getting to the rim, he makes up for it by being one of the best mid-range shooters of all time. D-Book this year shot 52% from the mid-range on 325 attempts. That is truly ridiculous. And on top of that, he's still one of the better playmakers on this list. You could actually argue the best playmaker on this list, and doing it on a team that, granted, did have some shooters like KD, Grayson Allen, Bradley Beal, but some of those guys were in and out of the lineups due to injuries. And on top of that, his big that setting those screens and rolling for him was Jusuf Nurkic. I repeat, Jusuf Nurkic. And for him to go out there and still put up the volume numbers that he was putting up in the box score, it's truly insane and a testament to his talent. And it ain't like he's not good off the ball, because he can do the catch and shoot shit and be effective without the ball in his hands. As this year, even though the pull-up 3-point shooting was down, he shot 37% on his catch and shoot threes. The only reason I wouldn't put D-Book higher on this list is, for one, he doesn't get to the rim like the 2 guys above him, and I do value that a lot, especially from primary ball handlers. In addition to that, even though he has improved as a defender over the course of his career, he's still not some standout guy on that side of the ball. And honestly, I just think those 2 points have to do with the fact that as an athlete, he doesn't compare to a lot of guys in the league, which is still a testament to his skill, don't get me wrong. But the lack of athleticism can really only take you so far. But speaking of athleticism, that brings us to number 2 on this list, Donovan Mitchell. D-Mitch, man, I be sometimes feeling bad for you, because you be going into these playoffs averaging 30 and shit, but your teammates let you down and you can't make a conference finals. But then I remember you're a multi-millionaire who just got engaged to Coco Jones, so fuck out of here with that shit. But in all seriousness though, D-Mitch I think is one of the more underrated players in the league, not necessarily because people don't think he's a great player, but I think there are real aspects of Donovan Mitchell's game that goes unnoticed. The obvious is there, which people talk about all the time, which is how prolific of a scorer he is, which it's hard not to talk about that. I mean, the man just went into the playoffs and averaged 30 points per game on 57% true shooting. He can score on all 3 levels, and he can play with and without the ball in his hands. But where I think he is extremely underrated is as a passer and playmaker. D-Mitch is such a great off-ball player and scorer as a whole that it overshadows the fact that he's one of the best pick and roll ball handlers in the league, makes insane reads on a daily basis, hence making him one of the more versatile players offensively in the NBA. You want him to catch and shoot off pin down screens, he can do that. You want to run the offense through him with pick and rolls, he can do that. You want him to create his own shot off the dribble, he can do that. You want him to close games and rise in the playoffs, he can do that. You want him to get to the rim and free throw line, he can do that. His versatility is so underrated and slept on because of just how great of a scorer he is. And I kind of hate how he's labeled as just a great scorer, because that couldn't be further from the truth. But while we're on the topic of truth, the reason I can't put him higher on this list is mainly because of the defense. D-Mitch defensively, primarily because of his size and position, he can be taken advantage of a lot. And on a team where he's sharing the backcourt with Darius Garland, that can be a big problem. But honestly, he's such a prolific offensive player that you could argue he's the best shooting guard in the league. But I won't make that argument because at number 1, I got Ant-Man himself, Anthony Edwards. I mean, what can I not say about this dude? Of course, he has his flaws. He's not a great playmaker. At times, he can make some bad decisions with the ball, but he is a well-improved playmaker because he's not bad in that aspect at all. He's still able to make great reads on his drives, and I think he showed a lot of improvement in that throughout the playoffs, as we saw numerous games where his shot just wasn't falling, but he was still able to have an insanely great offensive impact in the game because he's so great at getting to the rim that he draws in so much attention from the defense, and more times than not, he's going to find the open shooter. And speaking of shooting, the man just had one of the best three-point shooting seasons of all time, shooting nearly 40% from 3 on 10 attempts a game. That is just insane. And when you couple that with the fact that he's a good defender, unlike D-Book and Donovan Mitchell, I think that's what really puts it over the top for me. Obviously not perfect, he can get some tunnel vision at times, like I mentioned earlier with his playmaking, and as improved as a three-point shooter he is, he can fall in love with that shot a little bit too much. And for someone as athletic as he is, the lack of a mid-range game is a little bit concerning, because imagine with that quickness, shiftiness, strength, if he was able to consistently stop on a dime in the mid-range area and knock those down, he would be such an unpredictable and unstoppable player. But hey, a man can only dream, right? Because despite the flaws, he's still worthy of being the best shooting guard in the league in my opinion. But there you go, these are my top 10 shooting guards in the NBA. You can see the list on the screen right now. Let me know your opinions down below in the comment section. Y'all have a great day. I'm out. Peace.